This is a discussion of Emily Dickinson's poem, What Soft Cherubic Creatures. I will display the text of the poem and play a recording of it, read by Patricia Rodriguez. Then I will present my commentary on the poem. After my commentary, I will replay the reading by Rodriguez. At the very end, I will display the references to the scholarly works I have mentioned in the commentary.
What soft, cherubic creatures these gentle women are. One would as soon assault a plush or violate a star. Such dimity convictions, a horror so refined of freckled human nature, of deity ashamed. It's such a common glory, a fisherman's degree. Redemption, brittle lady, be so ashamed of thee.
Dickinson imagines a drawing room full of soft, cherubic women, like in a Renaissance painting. They're as soft as plush. Plush is a fabric softer even than velvet. The women are chattering away about how common such people as fishermen are. They are appalled by the coarser imperfections of human beings, such as freckles. We think of freckles as cute, but in Dickinson's time they were thought of as ugly. Dickinson herself had freckles. The poet thinks how the tables will be turned when such women come to be judged by Christ, whose disciples were fishermen. Dickinson would have been expected to associate with women like these had she not been so eccentric. She thought that they were so trifling. Their convictions are made of dimity, which is a rough fabric, and their flesh so pudgy that no man would want to seduce or rape them. But despite their flesh being soft, their souls are brittle, so inflexible that Christ at the judgment day would be ashamed of them. In our culture, we would not say of a woman, she is so unattractive that no man would want to rape her. Understanding Dickinson in the context of her culture requires imagining other ways of thinking about sex. Throughout the history of English literature, we find moving evocations of the physical act of love. In the 14th century, Chaucer had his Troilus and Grisade wrapped around each other's bodies like vines. In the 16th century, Shakespeare had his Claudio and Juliet engage in, quote, our most mutual entertainment. And Cleopatra exclaimed, oh, to bear the weight of Anthony. John Donne wrote of lovers that merge into one another as their two shadows become one at high noon. But in the crabbed 19th century, a common metaphor to describe sex was that of bees violating flowers. Melville, Whitman, Dickinson, and even Marcel Proust all used this metaphor. Dickinson used it in some 24 of her poems, according to William Shore. Dickinson studied biology and was an expert horticulturalist, according to Judith Farr. She knew that bees help rather than injure flowers, but for her, the bee takes his pleasure and the flower acquiesces. In the following stanzas of a poem, the bee sweeps across a field of flowers like a locomotive, jarring their weak defenses, their velvet masonry, and then veers away for other conquests. Like trains of cars on tracks of plush, I hear the level bee, ajar across the flowers goes. Their velvet masonry withstands until the sweet assault their chivalry consumes, while he, victorious, tilts away to vanquish other blooms. In other of her bee flower poems, the flowers do not mind much being violated. The flower must not blame the bee that seeketh his felicity too often at her door. Dickinson perhaps saw the assaults of bees as a fact of life to be endured, like freckles, perhaps. About plush in line 3, normally we would not say a plush, we would say something like a piece of plush. Dickinson sometimes omits noun classifiers. She writes a hay instead of a strand of hay, a dew instead of a drop of dew, or a grass instead of a blade of grass.
What soft, cherubic creatures these gentle women are. One would as soon assault a plush or violate a star. Such dimity convictions, a horror so refined of freckled human nature, of deity ashamed. It's such a common glory, a fisherman's degree. Redemption, brittle lady, be so ashamed of thee.